Backed by NFLStars, Rock League wants to push curling to the Massesust a few miles from the buzz of Nashville's Broadway strip, past the honky-tonks and pebbled taverns, sit 4 curling sheets inside a warehouse-like building called T-Line. There, current and former NFL players George Kittle, Hockenson and Jared Allen are pushing the roaring game of curling into a new era. Through the NFL offseason, and more often for the retired Allen, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, they swap the pigskin for brooms and hit the pebbled sheets. On those rinks and others across the U.S., the NFLStars are fixated. In football, you're constantly having to learn, but just from being an athlete, like physically learning how to slide, sweep, the technique was a no-brainer, says Allen. Allen picked up the sport after making a bet in 2018 to see if he could make the Olympics in a sport he'd never played. What began as a harmless idea with his friends brought the former defensive end onto the pebbled sheets for good, but it didn't come without its growing pains. The tough thing was trying to beat the learning curve of 30-plus years of these guys curling, Allen says. I just had this mindset that if I'm going to try to compete and be the best at something, at the end of the day, I just don't want to be the worst. That's for sure in a sport often known for its quiet crowds, knitting fans, and sudden popularity every 4 years at the Olympics. Allen has become one of many who see curling as having greater potential. He's bought into a vision, too, led by Canadian entrepreneur Nick Sulsky, CEO of the curling group, TCG, which looks to modernize and professionalize curling. While Allen and the other football players may not be on the ice for it, they're at the forefront of the world's first professional curling league, called Rock League, which they hope can draw a younger, wide-ranging audience from around the globe. I was telling Sulsky some of the things that I thought curling should lean towards. He leaned in on that, and that's kind of what sparked the conversation, Allen says. They took action, and when he came back to me, he was telling me about the team he had already assembled. That was when I knew I wanted to get in and be heavily involved. Rock League will see 6 global franchise teams compete, with an equal split of 5 men and 5 women, including mixed play. The captains for the teams include Milan Cortina-bound Team USA mixed doubles curler Corey Dropkin, Olympic gold medalist, and Brad Jacobs, Canada, and world champions Bruce Muat, Scotland, Alina Patz, Switzerland, Rachel Homan, Canada, as well as Chinami Yoshida, Japan. The league is scheduled to begin in April 2026, 2 months after the Winter Olympics, with a 7-day launch event in Toronto. Then, it will expand to a 5-stop 2027 season, with the aim of a fully fledged schedule across the world in 2028. At Rock League events, fans can expect loud crowds and music, and importantly to Sulsky, less knitting and shushing, as he recalled at his first curling event, the 2023 Canadian Championship, known as the Briar in London, Ontario. There's going to be a real festival surrounding curling. It's not just going to be about the events on the ice. We're going to have an awesome rock party, Sulsky says. I was having an electric conversation about curling during the Briar, and someone turned around and shushed us. I was like, this sport has to change. I want the shushing to forever be a thing of the past. I want the knitting to be gone. Curling needs new energy and a new demographic of fans. It was ripe for an injection of fun, excitement, and energy. In the U.S., outside of the brief spotlight during the Olympics, curling can hardly be considered anywhere near a mainstream sport. While the NFLers and Sulsky aren't necessarily out to make it one, they see the possibility of making it a fully fledged professional and lucrative product. In Canada, curling events are among the most watched sports broadcasts, yet the sport is not as widely available worldwide. As such, it is challenging for countries to build off Olympic momentum. Now, the hope is to get not just Rock League, but TCG's other properties, including the 5-stop Grand Slam of curling that it purchased from Canadian broadcaster Rogers Sportsnet, on American and international television while producing accessible and engaging content around the sport's top athletes. That's where the power of celebrity and passion from Allen, Hockenson, and Kittle come in. With them at the forefront, and even some help from Jason and Kylie Kelsey, who recently tried curling with Dropkin at the U.S. Olympic trials, there's an opportunity to push the sport beyond its usual boundaries. With the smallest movements defining results in a curling game and the strength needed to sweep and guide stones, football players been pulled in. And now, They want to bring the game forward with them. It's an addictive sport. There's so many nuances. So if you're a detail-oriented person and you like challenges and you like to push yourself, curling is the greatest sport because there's constant challenges, even for the best players, Allen says. It never gets easy, right? Your willingness to take difficult shots goes up, you're paying more attention to the ice, and you're totally overanalyzing all the ice changes. There's just so many details. In April 2025, Kittle and Hockenson found themselves on the T-line curling sheets with some of the world's best curlers as part of the inaugural TCG All-Star Game. In November, Allen skipped a team in the first Grand Slam of curling event in the U.S. in Lake Tahoe, California, and provided a viral moment when he broke a broom while sweeping. Their investment comes twofold. With their commitment to improving their skills and learning the game, they've been able to embrace what a professionalized sport could mean to curling as they hope to further access the American and Asian markets. It's so important, and it's so great to see that legit professional athletes have an interest in curling. They want to try it, they want to back it and support it, Dropkin says. Jared being involved with everything he has given into curling is great. He curled pretty much every day for a few years to try to be the best in the sport, and he got to be pretty dang good. It's awesome to have them back us. Backed by NFLStars, Rock League wants to push curling to the masses. Just a few miles from the neon buzz of Nashville's Broadway strip, past honky-tonks, pedal taverns, and the thrum of live music, there's a different kind of rhythm inside a warehouse-like building called T-Line. Instead of guitars and drum kits, the sounds are granite on ice, sharp calls echoing down the sheets, and brooms scraping furiously. This is curling territory, and improbably, it has become a second home for some of the NFL's most recognizable stars. George Kittle, T.J. Hockenson, Jared Allen, through the NFL offseason, and more permanently for Allen, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, the trio trades helmets for sliders, discovering that the roaring game scratches a competitive itch they didn't know they still had. Curling, long stereotyped as quiet and quaint, has hooked them completely. In football, you're constantly learning, Allen says. But physically learning how to slide, sweep, the technique,